Hi friends, happy Friday. And today I feel like I'm kind of celebrating in Southern California. It's the first day of autumn, which I love this time of year. I love spring as well, but I really love autumn. It's just homey feeling, it's cozy feeling, and I just love it. So what I wanted to do was paint. I'm looking for a piece of paper here to put a swatch on. I want to paint in the fall and the holidays. I tend to paint a lot of wreaths, which I think are just so fun because you can kind of make them whatever holiday you want. But I'm going to do kind of a celebrating autumn type of vibe. So I just have this little lid here off of one of my containers in my kitchen. And I'm going to draw a circle around that if I can find my pencil. So here is my pencil and just drawing a circle and just kind of lightly. I don't want to get too dark. By the way, I've been out of my Artisto pads. I need to order more. So I've been using, which I love. This is my second choice. Or if you're not in the US, the Meeden is a lot easier to get and better price than the Artisto that you see me usually use. Some of the advantages, I'm looking for my Artisto pad, and reasons why I like the Artisto pads is because number one, their cost is excellent. And you can kind of, what I do is I have tons of them and I just date them, put the season, put what I, predominantly used the palette, the journal for, and I can refer back to it. So I think they're great. They hold up very well in with water, and they've got a great texture. So I think for the price point, they're an excellent student choice. I'm out, so I've been using my Meedens, and these are 100% cotton. And like I said, if you're not in the US, these are a good choice. So I'm using 140-pound cold press. The other thing is the Meedens are on a block, which means they're sealed on all edges except for a little opening on one. So they work with a lot more water unless you're taping down, sorry for that camera bump, your paper. If you're using Artisto, you can tape down your sheets of paper, but these are kind of fun. So I've got my circle on there. I wasn't sure, I've been obsessed a little bit. As you know, the Mylang paints are really one of my favorites. I adore Paul Rubens. I have all good stuff to say about them. I just think they're fantastic. So typically, Mylang is a sister company of them, and this is a brand new palette I just bought on Amazon because I was out. So I use a lot of supplies here, guys. So anyway, I'm going to use that. I also have my floral palette. This is Paul Rubens' floral palette, and I've really been loving the colors. But I think this one might have a little bit more autumny colors, oranges and browns and rusts. So we'll see which one I end up using. I wanted to grab a sheet of paper. Here's my handy dandy. This is what I use to stamp on little circles for swatches. These are those little rubber. You guys actually really turned me on to these. I love them because I swatch out my colors. 1 second. I'm going to grab a swatch piece of paper here. Here we go. And let's see, my ink. And I will list my links I use to buy these on Amazon. They're relatively cheap. If you buy these, then you buy these acrylic pieces to stick them on. There you go. And I'm just going to stamp this and see if I can kind of come up with a little swatch of some colors I want to use. So I'm going to be making this Autumn Wreath. I've also got here, before I start, I've got my wash and my rinse. As you know, I love this Meeden water dish. It's great. I always say this. I used Solo cups for years, but I was constantly dumping them over. So this one is great, and it just looks pretty on my studio desk, which means a lot to me. I think if I'm inspired by my desk, I have pretty things, pretty supplies, I'm that much more excited to paint. And then today, not sure which one of these brushes. These are my brushes, by the way. You guys, I'm so excited. They come out in a couple weeks. Dare I say it, they come out on Friday the 13th. So I hope that turns out to be a lucky day for me. But they've got these beautiful pink handles. If you're into the aesthetics, like I said, I love pretty stuff to paint with. It just makes me feel happy and I want to paint. They are short handled, which I prefer in my paintbrushes. And I've got 5 of them. I've got the big old bad boy. And then some of these other funds. These are all the brushes I would use in my florals. So that's why I created it. You guys also gave me some suggestions. So today I'm not sure which one I'm going to use. I'll probably use the cat's tongue. And I always seem to end up using the my 8 long round. And maybe the angle shader, we'll see. But anyways, I'll put the link below if you want to get on the interest list for these. I'm so excited. I can't give you a sneak peek at the box yet, but they're really great. They're very snappy, which I love and I think is great for beginners because the softer the brush, they're gonna swell up with more water, and they're, to me, a little bit harder to control. So I always, in my beginner workshops and such, I always use snappy brushes. So, and they've got this ombre look. So cool, right? Really fun. You guys helped me design those. All right, so let's swatch out some colors here, see what we might want to use. I'm just gonna wet my brush. I already sprayed my paints with a spray bottle. That's what you always do with watercolors, or I see people use like a little dropper. That's fine too. So what I'm going to do is start with my regular green. This is like the Mylang Sap green, which is just a real pretty green. And then I might blend in, my go-to green, you probably have yours, is kind of olive and that sap green. The other color I love, by the way, in Mylang is always their yellow green in the floral palette, really similar color. They call it permanent green, but I think they're very close. Okay, so those will be those colors. Let's see. I'll probably use a yellow ochre because that's a good fall color. And maybe some of this sienna. Sienna's always kind of an orangey, just a pale, beautiful color. Look at that. They blend together so well. Just yummy, isn't it? Ooh, I love it. I might use a tad of the darker brown just for maybe some stems and things. So that's that. And then the Van Dyke brown, which is always a pretty brown. It's much darker. There we go. So those are kind of the browns. Let's see. I'm mostly going to be making this leaves. I might throw in a couple berries, which, let's see what color we might want for that. I feel like I want a deep, yummy red. So you could definitely use the reds in your Mylang palette. Yeah, look at that. Ooh, that's the perfect color. Not even going to look for any more. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Let's see. I just can't stand it. Nope, I don't want that color. That's too pinky. Let's see what this. I think this is just their cad red. Maybe. Yeah, that could maybe work. Those two colors are really pretty. Oh, yeah. Look how pretty these colors are. Doesn't that just make you want to settle up next to a fireplace with some hot chocolate or Irish coffee and just, ooh, I love those. Okay, enough of that. Let's get maybe an orangey color in there, but I want a little deeper orange. I don't want it necessarily a bright orange. Let's just play with this on here. So there's one orange. I don't know for sure if I'll end up using that one. Here's another orange, maybe even a cad yellow, but we've got that yellow ochre. So I think that could be pretty. Look at that palette. I think that's really yummy and pretty and just cozy. I love it. The Hooker's Green, by the way, in the floral palette is really pretty too. Let me just give you a little look at that. Isn't that gorgeous? It's a deep, rich, just you want to dive in there. It's so pretty. And I was never usually a fan of Hooker's Green, but I am loving in this, sorry for that slapping noise, the Paul Rubens Floral. I was really surprised how much I kind of really enjoyed that Hooker's Green. And I don't think there is a Hooker's Green in this one. I mean, you could always make it. Nope, they've got more emeraldy green. So if you don't have, if you're using the My Lang palette or whatever you're using, a lot of these colors you're going to find in Winsor Newton. But if you're using this and you don't have that Hooker's Green, just use your olive green. It's kind of close. The Hooker's is a little bit deeper and richer. So that's going to be my colors I use. Aren't those pretty? Ooh, I love it. Okay. So I'm just going to kind of play here. I'm going to start adding in some leaves here, and then let's just go with it. Maybe we'll add in some little berries. The other thing I might do is, because I haven't used these in a while, these are the MAB metallics that I love. I started using them last year, and now as you can see, I have a whole collection. But I think I'm going to get this wet and get it ready just in case I want to use it. Because last year during the holidays, I used these a ton and I loved them. So let me grab my little swatch here again, and I'm just going to put what I've got. I haven't got these swatched into, into my diary, painter's diary like this, but I did swatch them on here. So here's all the gold. Aren't those pretty? These are all MABs. I love them, you guys, as you already know. So any of these would be really pretty over the leaves. So I might just add that there, kind of play with it, see which one I like. That one's very pale. You get 6 in here, and as you know, I just love these watercolors. So I think those could be really pretty in here just to add some touches. I love painting something and then having a touch of a color that people kind of have to go, wait, did I see something sparkle? Did I see a little glimmer or shine in there? I love that. All right, so again, using my 8 long round, let's start with our lightest values, meaning you're going to start with, so I think what I'll start with is maybe some browns. So I'm gonna go into that sienna, and I always swatch out a value so I can make sure I have various values in my painting, because a dark value, which you can't get real dark with the sienna, that's about as dark as you're gonna get. So that would be about 80% pigment, 20% water. And then I'm going to clean my brush off a bit. There's a medium. And then that might even need to be a little darker. Like I said, this sienna, this yellow sienna, is kind of a lighter value anyway. And then here's the lightest value. So there you go. You've got 3 different values here, and this is quite light. So I'm going to make sure I have all these values, because the darker the value, which is about 80% pigment, 20% water, is going to really pop out in front. As you get lighter, this is probably 50-50, and this is probably 80% water, 20% pigment. It's going to look more in the background. And whenever I have a student send me a painting, they're like, tell me something about this, or what can I do different here? The first thing I always do is say, add some different values, because if it's all the same value, it's going to look very flat and not quite as interesting. Your eye's just going to see it all as one value, where when you have the different values, it's kind of pushing, pulling, popping out in front, in the back. So that's kind of how I like to play with that. So let's see here. Let's go to, I just got back from my parents, so some of my supplies are still in my backpack, but I want to get kind of a light value. And let's just start creating some leaves. I'm going to use the tip of my brush. I'm resting my palm on my paper so I can have a steady hand, and I typically hold right around the crimping below the ferrule. That just gives me some more control over my brush, and I'm going to point, press, kind of a C-stroke, and then coming around. So I'm intentionally starting with this light value. Point, press, come down, point, press, come down. And you can even use some lighter, smaller leaves, maybe dabs, point, press, but we want to leave room in here for darker and different colored flowers. So I'm just going to kind of spread these around. Point, press, like that. Point, press, point, press. And I might go in while these are still kind of wet, and maybe we'll just add in a tiny bit of orange and start playing with all of these colors we've got in here. Maybe some reds. Now I let those dry a little bit, so I think the red was that one. But look how beautiful already. You guys, I know every video I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm a freak. But so pretty. Just so pretty. I'm telling you guys, if you get into watercolors, there's nothing, seriously, I really mean this. I've painted for years and there's just nothing like it. Maybe I can add in some of that darker red we played with. I mean, look at how beautiful. Look at that. I might even go in here and add in some of those greens. So I've got my olive green, my sap green, my hooker's green. I think I might go for that sap green and just start adding in some of that, because I really like to get, I think I got that mixed with a different color. I really like to get that green to kind of blend in with my leaves and bleed a little bit. I think it's so pretty. Like that. There we go. Maybe add in, let's go for a different color. Let's go for some of that orange. A little bit more of that orange, or even the red. Be careful, because that cad orange can definitely be overwhelming. So I'm not going for the boring old, I'm just kidding, I love green leaves too, but I'm trying to be a little bit different here. Let's maybe sneak in a couple green ones. Mix a little bit of the olive and the sap green, and start adding in some of those in the background here, like that. But look how pretty already. And we're gonna go over this with some layers. So I wanna carry this, before I go too far, I wanna carry this around this side. So let's start tapping. I was tapping off my brush, by the way. So I'm picking up my paint and then tap, tap, tap. I just get rid of some of that extra. And point, press, like that. Some different sizes. And then before this dries, I don't want this to get too dry. I want to go in with those oranges and just tap in Let that spread. And add in that beautiful washy interest. And then go in with our green stem. So I'm working kind of fast here. I know several of you have asked me about, you know, my paint dries and I'm not getting that blend that you get. With wet and wet, you do have to work a bit fast. So have your paints ready in your palette, because you got to be ready to go. And I don't work on too big of an area wet and wet at one time. I kind of work like in a small area. So look how pretty this is already. There we go. Now maybe add in a tiny bit of that sienna in here. Maybe some of the Van Dyke brown. Love the Van Dyke brown. And it really creates some earthiness. Isn't this so fall and autumn? Oh, it just gives you that warm, cozy feeling. There you go. Just using the tip of my brush in very, very light pressure. Picking up a little bit more of that darker brown. Coming in here. So I'm just playing with the greens, the browns, adding in some interest, maybe coming up in here. And go back to that sienna, because I don't want this to all be green. I want some of these colors in there, but look at how beautiful those are. Seriously, they're so pretty. And I like blending them so they kind of bleed together. Using some of that Van Dyke brown. There we go. Look how pretty already. So let's keep going. I'm going to create some bigger leaves. And then let's maybe just add a few in here. And right here, I'm just dabbing. Let's do the other side. Kind of trying to go left-handed there because I want you guys to see that. So there we go. We've got all these wonderful different colors of green. Kind of filler. And now with a tiny bit, I'm going to go back to that yummy sienna and add in some more leaves here and maybe even mix them a bit so they kind of bleed together. Ooh, that touched in with that red, so that was kind of cool. Although I'll have to put more of that color in now because you don't just want it right there, right? But look how beautiful this is already. Let's go in and use our brown and just create maybe some twigs. So I've got when I want to use just the tip of my brush and get that really thin brush stroke, which by the way, you can go here for my beginners playlist and you can practice some of these brush strokes. But let's add in maybe some twigs going in and out. Look at that. So it looks really organic. Love that. I just think it gives so much interest. What kind of that Van Dyke brown? Very light pressure, and I'm holding my brush upright. I'm tilting mine a little bit so I don't block your view. But look how pretty that is. To add in some of these little twigs. Ooh, look at that. We got that nice little pop of blend. So pretty. Now I feel like I do want to get a little bit more of the red in there. So let's see, what color was that I used? I think it was this one. Yeah, I think that was it. But I don't want it too just taking over. So, well, let's see. You know what? Actually, maybe we should go for, I'm changing my mind. This is what I do. I paint very spontaneously, and I hope you guys do, because when you're just having fun and you're kind of going with your intuition and what kind of seems like, oh, I think that would look good here. That's when you're going to do your best paintings. And you're not overthinking like, oh no, I better not put red, or I better not put this color. Go for it. So let's do some bigger leaves. Point, press, point, press, like that. Look how pretty. Point, press. Yeah, see, when you go with your intuition, guys, and you just have fun and trust yourself, you can really make some beautiful things. Point, press, and just have fun. Point, press. I look at paintings in colors. So what just feels like I need some of that color there? Point, press. So I'm spreading that around, that beautiful gold, you know, fall harvest type color. Point, press, point, press. Look, isn't that beautiful? Now we could go into those with just a touch of some of our brown and our red. Look at that. Ooh. To give it some interest, I think that's gorgeous. Oh, I love, this is, again, I say it every day, but what is just so beautiful to me about watercolors. So let's get a few more in here. Let's see, what other color could we add in here? I think what we could do is I'm going to pick up that red and I'm going to do some berries here and there. So let's do some berries. I want a little, put them in here and there. I want to lead the eye. So I'm guiding my eye. Does this, I'm not kidding, does this just totally remind you of fall? These little berries, maybe some darker values. So just really letting your eyes say, I think I need a little red here. It looks a little lopsided. Maybe we could go for some oranges. Let's pick up a tiny bit of that orange. And dab that in. While it's wet, even better, because they'll kind of blend and merge together, which I love. Oh, so yummy, you guys. This just makes me want to run in my kitchen and bake pumpkin and zucchini bread. My favorite thing to do in September. And maybe we even want to use, sometimes I think of water as a color. So I might go in with just a damp brush and tap into some of these. Just with water. And I kind of think of that as a water. I mean, as a color. Just like this. Look. Oh, it's so pretty. So let's see, I want to make sure I have an even number of those little berries. There we go. Rinse my brush like that. So, so pretty. And I almost feel like I could use some maybe deep value olivey greens. So I've got some of that olive green I'm going to put in here. And I want a darker value. So this is going to be 80% pigment, 20% water. And let's go in and lay down a couple really dark value leaves. So I'm going to do them right over these. Point press, point press, point press. And before those dry, just rinse my brush and maybe put in some beside it. That kind of run into that one, and it really softens that edge too. But look at how beautiful that is. When you have these different values, rinse my brush and just kind of go up against that and let it spread. Ooh, look at that. I love using water to, and this is just a damp brush. This isn't real wet. Like that. Ooh, look how beautiful. Now, if you knew calligraphy, you could go in the middle here and really, you know, get some beautiful colors. I think what I feel like I want to do is add in, let's just play. I don't know how this is going to turn out. We're just going to play a really light value of, I'm going to go with green and make some bigger leaves inside. Let's just play. It really, you could have ended right there. But I feel like I want to make it thicker because I'm not good at calligraphy, you guys. So I rely on my painting to fill in space. Just kind of making it thicker and making it feel like there's some leaves in the background. So here's a light value again. Just adding, I mean, you could really just go on forever and close it in and close it in. Truly. Going in there with maybe some of those, touching in with some of that color. So pretty. So this looks a little thicker than this. So I'm gonna go in here. Oops, I got some purple on my brush. Definitely don't want to add it purple in there. That would completely throw it off, right? And, you know, maybe one up here. I feel like this needs to be a little thicker, maybe with that orange. There we go. Oh, love this. And then the last thing I might do is add a little bit more of that twig. And honestly, you could stop here and this would be beautiful. But I feel like I want to add a little bit more of that twig. That kind, ooh, and look at it blended there. Love that. So very light pressure. I'm just going through and kind of wiggling. Now for this, I'm holding up higher, if you notice, because I want some more freedom in my brush movement. So that's why I'm doing that. And I feel like these could maybe be a tad bit darker. So let's get a green. There we go. Don't want to get too dark. You could even splatter, I mean, all kinds of stuff. And we didn't even use the gold. So I love using this gold in just light touches here and there. Again, so somebody looking at this is like, do I see some glitter? Do I see some metallic or shine? So I like to just add it in here and there. And you're going to see me start using these a lot again for the holidays. Look how pretty, you guys. Oh my gosh, I get so excited. This is where I just, when I start heading into these holidays and I know I can start using these again, it's like, what fun. So just here and there, and let me show you. Look at that. Can you see some of the shine? Isn't that so pretty? All right, well, I think I'm going to stop here because I don't want to overwork this. And I think this was really fun. I hope you guys are painting something for autumn or whatever season you might be going into around the world. For US and Southern California, we are going into autumn with cooler nights. And this just gives you, like, doesn't it just look like the colors of a fireplace or something? So there you go. And make sure if you are interested in being notified about my brushes, I love these. These are all my go-to brushes. The Filbert, you see me use a lot. This big old bad boy, cat's tongue, love all of these. I could have used the cat's tongue for some of these little leaves. Very easily I could have done that. And there you go. I will get all my links from Amazon that I got all these products from, and I will put those into my description below as well. Here's this swatch sheet. I'll probably make a tutorial kit out of this for you guys, although I think you could do it, you know, hand drawn very easily, but sometimes it's kind of fun to have all this, and they're only $2.50. Here are my values. So I tried to incorporate all the different values for interest. So light values, dark values, and happy painting, friends. Thanks so much for being here. We have the best little community here. Love you guys. I love seeing the familiar names. I love hearing you're enjoying my new beginners online course where we talk about a lot of these little tips with values and things. And most of all, happy painting. Have fun. Otherwise, why do this is how I see it. And just have fun with your paintings. All right. I will talk to you soon.